So the top part here spins around. The aim here is to try and open this puzzle box up. It's called the Eye of Horus. It's designed by Constantin, made by Recent Toys. So it's part of a packaged range. You can see you can slide this top piece over a little bit. So it slides about an inch or a centimeter maybe, just backwards and forwards. It also rotates all the way around. The other moving components on this seem to be this acrylic piece on the top here. Doesn't seem like you can lift that out at all, and there's a little hole just under the acrylic piece, and it's going to be quite hard to spot, but if I move this just into one position, I can see there's a little ball bearing, a little steel ball in there, and if I drop it down, I can then pick it up into this gap and move it around. So I'm guessing that's going to be part of the solution to this one, but it is rated 4 out of 5 in terms of difficulty by the manufacturer, so I'm expecting it to be fairly challenging. Let's get into it and see just how hard this really is. Okay, so there isn't an awful lot of moving components to this one. It doesn't seem like any of these panels along the side here are doing anything, and underneath similarly we've just got the name of the puzzle. Doesn't seem to be any kind of moving components there, so I think the whole puzzle here is based around the top. There's a little bit of moving acrylic. I thought perhaps we could lift that off or something, but it seems to be stuck in place. The pin as well doesn't seem to want to come out. So pretty much everything here looks like it's going to be based around this ball bearing, or this little steel ball. So at certain points it seems to disappear. I don't know why that's disappeared just now. See if I can get it back. There we go. Drop it down into this chamber, and then I can move this ball bearing here around, so slide it around. We've not got much. Oh, okay, hang on. It has just disappeared on the other side. So I think there's two different holes that it can drop into. So there seems to be one on the right hand side and one on the left hand side. So I just picked it up over on the right hand side and dropped it on the left. So let's just double check that that is possible. So I'll pick it up on this side if I can. So you just need to tip it upside down to get it to drop into that hole. And now I've lost it again. Interesting. Is it back over on this side? No. So I've lost that ball bearing. It seems to have, oh no, okay. So now I've picked it up into the central chamber. I'm going to take it over to this side, and I can drop it down into another piece. So it starts over here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, drop it over onto the other side. Where was it? There. And then perhaps from that point we need to move that ball bearing into a certain position. Don't seem to do anything. I'm going to try spinning it. And I was wondering whether Eye of Horus was a clue to this one. I know obviously the puzzle box just looks like the Eye of Horus, but I don't know if it's got any further kind of clue as to the solution of this one. I'm not massively familiar. I did have a quick look, and it is supposed to, the meaning is protection. I don't really know what that would infer in terms of actual puzzle solutions though. If anybody has any further ideas behind that meaning, please do let me know. So I'm going to try and drop it back into this hole over this side. So where was it? Obviously once that ball is in the gap on the lid, you can't really see where you're trying to put it. You're doing it blind, but I found it, there we go. So can we then, I wonder if there's some kind of internal maze perhaps that we need to navigate. So we'll move it back across. Or I wonder if there's more positions. So I've found a second position that it will go to, but I wonder if there's any other ones. Maybe I should have a quick look. So drop it in there and see if I can find any other positions. There's a second ball. There is a second ball here, I just found. Okay, so we've got 2 ball bearings, one on either side currently. So what do we need to do? And I think there's going to be another, I feel like this now is moving over a little bit further over this way. So 2 ball bearings, one in either hole, but there doesn't seem to be, oh, there is space to drop them both in, isn't there? Yes, okay. So I'm going to try moving this one over to this position, see if I can fit it in here. It doesn't want to go, I think because there's that other ball bearing in there already. But I think if I slide it over, and I have just dropped it into what appears to be a third gap. Have I? This is getting confusing now. It's quite hard to see because the acrylic does obscure your view a little bit. And it's quite dark wood, so trying to spot what's happened in there. It's a little bit challenging. I'm going to pick up this one, and I felt like I dropped the first ball that I had somewhere around this point. So this was sitting kind of perpendicular rather than in the other position. So now I seem to be a little bit stuck. I'm not entirely sure what's happened, but I don't seem to be able to drop this one into the hole anymore. I don't know if I'm just not finding it quite right. Where has it got to? So this one really reminds me of a puzzle that I did recently called the Central puzzle. So that one required that you get 2 ball bearings into exactly the right position. So you had to get them both into one chamber first, then split it over and only put one of them into a second chamber, and that released it. So this feels kind of similar to that. A diagram might be useful at this point, but it seems like there's another hole here. There's one here, there's one here. There was one over here, and I feel like I've dropped one into one down at that point at some point. So we just moved one over there. Okay, so I might try and just map out what is actually happening here. So, cool pen by the way. This one has got like these double threaded nuts on it. So you can move them in either direction. Something I've not really seen anywhere else, but anyway, that's a bit of an aside. So we have our base here. So there's definitely a hole here. There's a hole here. I feel like, I mean, there was certainly a hole over this side somewhere to begin with, and then there might be one somewhere like here. So we've got, I think, at least 3, possibly 4 holes. And currently, I seem to only be able to access 2 of them. So I can drop this in. So I'm working with these 2 holes here at the moment. Essentially what we're doing here is kind of solving a blind puzzle, or very impaired in terms of what we can actually see of what's going on. So there must be a step here where I can bring this to somewhere else, because at the moment we're stuck. What I've done is I've just moved one from here to here, and I've actually discovered the second ball bearing, which I've been missing for a little while. So now I've got one sitting in each of these positions over here. So I think if I take the one from the slightly inward channel, feels like I've actually been able to move it. So I've brought it up, and now I can move it slightly over here a bit more. But once you've got it up, you can't see exactly where you're going with it. So there's another hole about here. So there's multiple holes here, and it seems like it's just a case of working through these, moving that ball bearing from the inside over more towards the outside. And as we're doing that, it seems like we can move this eyepiece slightly further over. Yeah. So it's not quite opened yet. So the 2 have disappeared into there. For what is quite a simple box, this seems to have quite a clever mechanism stuck inside it. Okay, so I think I want to take both of these ball bearings. It seems like the outside gap is here, and then they can both disappear. I wonder if I try twisting this, if that's going to make any difference. In fact, I don't think that's doing anything. I think this bit here is just... I was wondering if there was a matching maybe piece underneath or something that you could twist this and guide it down a path, but it doesn't seem to want to go. So we've moved them both into here, which has obviously got a bit of depth to it, because both of the ball bearings are now invisible when I have a look. So they've both dropped down, they're sitting in here somewhere. And it feels very close, but I just haven't quite got it. So it definitely feels like this is the forward progression, moving it over to the side here. And I feel like we're only maybe 1 step away here from actually being able to solve it. So we just need to move both of these ball bearings, which are currently sitting in this central chamber here. So is there some other position that one of these wants to go to, or 2 of them want to go to, in order to solve it? Okay, so I think on the lid here, we've got the lid, and then we've got a pin that's sitting down into a channel. So we can slide that up and down that channel. And when we drop the ball bearings in, that somehow blocks that pin from moving. So to me, I feel like this feels like it should be kind of right. Because I can't go back, but ideally what I want to do probably is bring this down this way. And it feels like those ball bearings in that position shouldn't be blocking it any further. Okay, so I've taken a bit of time just to map out what I think is happening on the inside here. So I've got two holes. I've currently got both of the ball bearings sitting in here, and we've got this pin here on the top of the puzzle, and I believe that goes down into this groove. So I think there's two holes, one here and here, which I think are actually connected. So I think that's all just one long groove, which this top piece is sliding along. So I've moved both ball bearings over to this side. So I think I've got it fully over into this position. Now, I don't know if it can come any further than that. So I think this is actually in its maximum position over here because I can't see any further channel for this to slide into. So by my reasoning, I kind of think we should be at a solution here. I just can't open it. We've got both of the ball bearings to the other side of this pin. So I think they start off on this side and we need to move them over to this side, which is kind of what's happened, but I still can't open it. So there must be something else that's going on here as well. So I've tried having a look around, tried to find any further holes, but I just don't seem to be able to find any more on this side over here. So I'm at a bit of a dead end here as to the next step. Just can't figure out what it's gonna be. So this kind of does the same thing. So now I've positioned one ball here and one ball into this hole, and it feels pretty much the same. Like I can slide it all the way down here. This pin is unobstructed in that channel down this end. So potentially again, you'd be able to open it from this position, but it doesn't seem quite right. There potentially is a third ball, I think. Yes, there we go. Okay. Was I right? Is there actually three of the balls? No. Okay, so there's only two balls. I'm not sure what was happening there then. So I was kind of right in terms of this pin sliding up and down this channel here. So we had to have one ball sitting in this chamber. I don't know why we couldn't have had that. There's one ball sitting at the top as well. So there is three balls. So it wasn't just one or two balls. The third ball is still sitting in this top chamber here, while the bottom two are over here. So that was it. We had to get all three of the balls. I was just really stuck because I thought there was only two, and I thought I must have had them in the right position to open it up. You can see we've got a little bit of storage space inside there. A pretty tricky puzzle. I have no idea of the time. I think maybe half an hour, 40 minutes, something like that to solve this one. Pretty tricky, clever little mechanism for such a small little box, and I really enjoyed it. And as always, I'll leave a link for this one down in the description below. Hope you enjoyed watching the video, and I'll see you next time for more puzzles.